Welcome. I'm Harmony Slater, your host of the Finding Harmony podcast. Over the past 20 years, I've taught thousands of yoga teachers and students to explore the intersection between ancient wisdom and modern everyday life, using mind-body practices to heal, awaken, and manifest their dreams from the inside out. This podcast is a sanctuary for those feeling overwhelmed by life's challenges. Are you ready to jump in and discover how these challenges aren't actually in the way, but are the way to finding harmony? Let's invite the magic back in. Hi, and welcome to the Finding Harmony podcast. Today, Russell and I are joined by a super fun guest, Raquel Devillé. She's a skilled therapist and specialist in neurodiversity. Not neurodivergence, but neurodiversity. She's bringing a nuanced and compassionate lens to the work that she does with individuals who are navigating challenges like ADHD, autism, sensory sensitivity, or being a highly sensitive person, and so many more other interesting neurodiverse conditions. We're going to learn that maybe you, like us, also are on this spectrum of neurodiversity, and that maybe there's no such thing as normal. So today we are unpacking the real life impact of what it means to struggle sometimes, either with executive functioning, rigid thinking patterns, communication difficulties, what it means to be masking your symptoms, how sensory overload and emotional fatigue could all be signs that you are masking and trying a little too hard to fit in. We explore how some of these experiences can lead to social anxiety, depression, and also just having difficulty with transitions and many of the stigmas and misunderstandings that can come up, and also deepen the challenge of really understanding what's going on for you at a personal level. We're going to talk also about some of these amazing therapies that reminded me a lot of spinal energetics, tension and trauma releasing exercises, or TRE, which has to do with tremoring and the body spontaneously starting to tremor or have a shaking reaction, a somatic modality that was developed by Dr. David Berceli. I've seen this with clients myself when I've been facilitating spinal energetics. The body spontaneously starts to shake and tremor to discharge and release past trauma or stress or holding patterns through neurogenetic tremoring. It's pretty incredible. It's pretty amazing. I've also experienced it myself several times, and it helps so much. It's one of the things that it's just, wow, it's transformative, really, really life transforming. To have that experience, it really helps to reduce anxiety. It can help with migraines. It can reduce cravings. And it's especially effective, apparently, for those who have ADHD or who may struggle with traditional routines or feel overstimulated or overwhelmed by daily life. So I hope that you enjoy this conversation. We have a lot of fun, maybe revealing a little too much about our habits and neurodiverse tendencies, but also look at ways that we can maybe use some of these teachings, some exercises and things that we can do to help heal trauma. And hopefully this conversation brings both insight and hope to you if you start to feel a little bit more seen. So let's jump in, and I hope you enjoy this conversation about our unique and wonderful and wild minds and how brains are both similar and different. Harmony Podcast. I'm your host, Harmony, and I'm here with Russell Case.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Wait, who are you asking?
And we're joined, yes, by our beautiful guest, Raquel Devillé. Can you pronounce your name?
It's pronounced Raquel Devillé.
Raquel
Devillé.
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 Yeah.
Like,
Even if it has two L's, It's not Devillé, it's Devillé.
Okay.
Devillé.
Devillé.
So I'm not a native French speaker, so
So how,
so also Raquel, it's pronounced differently because it's Portuguese, so it's kind of
Right.
Raquel.
it's like that plant bougainvillea, which everyone says bougainvillea because they think it's French. But it's
Oh,
actually it's a Spanish word, bougainvillea.
I don't know. That one is one that I only know in Portuguese.
Oh yeah, how do you
Yeah,
say
so
it
it's
in Portuguese?
bougainvillea.
Bougainvillea. And I think that's the way we're supposed to pronounce it, but everyone says bougainvillea because they think it's French, but it's not at all.
I don't know. I think I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. Where it comes from. I tried to have it here in Belgium because it's so beautiful, but it's way too cold, so no bougainvillea at all.
No.
And yeah,
Same like Canada. It's much too cold.
We
Yeah.
don't know where it came from, but we know where we come from. No, you come from Portugal. I was conceived in Portugal, and I
oh,
always like to tell people that I should get my passport because
should.
I was made there, but I wasn't. I
He wasn't born there.
I wasn't. But it's not. It's. I think being conceived is more important than being born, don't you? Because it's like
No.
you still have consciousness
No.
there in the womb, don't you?
We don't need to get into that
your
debate.
what's your feeling about whether I'm Portuguese or not?
I don't know. I think it depends on how you feel it in your body. So, have you been there after conception?
No.
I've been there.
Yeah,
You've been there many times.
yeah. Oh, you have been there. Where?
Yes.
Where? Let me know
I was
everything.
in Coimbra,
Mm-hmm.
and then I went to Lisbon twice,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and also lower down in Faro.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I kept
Yeah.
moving south.
It's so unfair. Even though I'm Portuguese, she never takes me. She says, "Oh, you're too expensive to take anywhere." I'm like, oh.
But it's so
But-
beautiful, Portugal. You must miss it, being in Belgium.
Not
No?
really. No. I live in the countryside. So
Yeah.
I live in the woods, and it's beautiful, and I really enjoy it here.
Yeah.
And also, it's something that it's not socially accepted here, so I don't say it very loud or very often. But I actually like the shitty weather that we have here
Oh, that's not socially
Yeah, why
acceptable.
not?
Yeah.
because people are always complaining, no, because it rains all the time and it's so
Yeah.
dark, and I love it. I love it. And because from where I come from, there's so much light. So by the end of September, I just, oh my God, I cannot stand this anymore.
Yeah.
And here it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, you
Less
get more
light.
seasons,
Uh,
right?
A lot of water, and it's great.
I was saying this to a previous guest about, we were talking about depression and and you are a specialist in neurodivergence, and I think this lady had a kind of tendency towards depression, and we were talking about whether or not we had a tendency or not, and I talked how much I enjoyed feeling low, and I think actually what I meant was melancholy. And I think I really like melancholy, and I think what you're describing is a kind of a sinking in towards the kind of darkness and the cozy, wet, damp.
I don't call it melancholy because I feel actually joy when it rains. So
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
I also feel joy when the sun is shining. So I'm kind of a joyful person most of the time.
Okay.
And I really enjoy it when it's sometimes it's really dark, and it's interesting because you have different colors, and there's this freshness to it as well. I don't like the heat, so I really like it. And the other thing that I have here that I didn't have in Portugal, it's like autumn colors that you in Canada have even better than here.
Yeah.
Uh,
I love the autumn colors too.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. So
beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Sometimes we fantasize about living in eternal summer, but you used to live in California and I lived
And
in
Texas.
Thailand in Texas, and if you're used to seasons, you can kind of miss it after some time.
You could be in January in San Francisco, and someone could ask you what month it is, and you could forget. It's like, I don't know what month it is. Maybe it's February? I'm not sure.
Well, maybe that's because you're neurodivergent. Let's find out.
I don't know if we can test my neurodivergence. I would like to test Harmony's neurodivergence.
We have an
I have
ongoing
some suspicions about her.
an ongoing argument. Who's more neurodivergent?
Tell me all about your suspicions. Tell me all about it. I'm so curious. Yeah, it's so much fun.
So she hyper focuses on a task and leaves everything else to chaos. And so I walk into her office or room or wherever she's working, and every cabinet door is open. And there's clothes all over our bedroom because she thinks she'll use them again and she doesn't want to miss them. You know, it's like, no, I might use this later. And so, but I won't put it away. So I say to her, it's like, instead of when you pick it up, you put it down, maybe put it away. So you pick it up, put it away. Don't put it down, put it away. And that seems to be like right at the foundation of the issue.
Well, okay, but that's only mirroring your OCD neurodivergent
Why don't
tendencies.
you tell me more about that?
Yes, because you have to have everything in the exact place all the time.
It's neat.
Yeah.
Exactly. I get. So
but a neat, tidy house also closes the cabinets and the drawers. But okay, go ahead.
Because it's so much easier when everything is tidy, right?
Yeah.
Everything is so much easier when it's tidy. Everything you can.
Yeah,
think
you don't
properly,
even have to
clean.
clean that much because
You
it
don't.
stays clean. It's
Yeah, that's right. But I do like to clean, and when I am nervous, I will clean.
That's great.
It's good for me.
Yeah. Because when you clean, you don't like to clean. Because if you do clean, you start, and then 5 hours later, you're done.
Yeah, it takes me all day.
Or you could clean every day a little bit.
I can't.
Well,
Yeah. So
I clean up
recently,
after you.
I had a friend here staying with me, and she's like one of the most organized persons I know. So I'm kind of, I'm kind of jealous of her because she's like so organized.
Yeah.
So she came and she was looking for spices, and I was like, oh my God, she's going to see the mess my spices are. So I don't have drawers for my spices as I would like to. So I have them in like transparent boxes.
Yeah.
And then because I'm a tiny person and it's on the cabinet, so it's a little high, I cannot really read them. So I order them alphabetically, like from A to Z, and then like from front to back, alphabetically. And when she opens it, she's like, "Oh my God, how is this possible?" So it's like her husband's dream. It's to have like spices organized alphabetically. And she was really impressed. And I was so happy because I actually impressed her with my spice organization.
But you'd only done it out of a place of shame and anxiety.
No, I've done it because I use very different. I cook a lot, so I use it. It comes with being Portuguese, so I use a lot of spices. So I need them ordered. So I have them ordered alphabetically.
Amazing.
Oh, good.
I want
Good,
you
well,
to come organize my house.
That sounds nice. I do. We already have someone who does that for you.
So tell us a little bit about the on-corpse method.
But to finish, like, what does she think of our condition?
Problems,
and then we should go on to her
to the method.
To her method, yeah.
That how can you help us?
I don't know. I think it's so. I don't know if it's neurodivergent is actually, so it's a thing, of course, but what I don't know if it's a thing, it's being neurotypical. Like, is there actually anyone that is neurotypical, like,
right,
or we are just because it's so diverse. It's
It's so
And
diverse,
if
right?
instead of saying divergency, we say diversity,
Yeah.
it makes much more sense because we are also different. Like
Oh, and
just
and it does say here, but I read something different. It says
Because I
neurodiversity
think
therapist, and I read because I expected to read neurodivergent
but
therapist.
it's you can say
Yeah,
both,
yeah.
but um, but diversity, I think it's more I don't know how to say this.
maybe
I'm missing.
accurate.
Yeah, because it's so diverse. People are
Yeah.
so different from each other, like
Yeah.
physically, okay?
Yeah.
And also the way they function, it's different from one person to the other.
Yeah.
And it's just people being people.
People. I
Yeah.
think that's a great way to look at it because we wouldn't expect everyone to look the same. So why would we expect everyone to think the same or have the same processes going on in our
Exactly.
brains?
Exactly. Because we have like these expectations,
Yeah.
but yeah, so a person is a person.
Yeah. It's so fascinating when you think about it that way. Like of course it's going to be diverse.
There is a
It would be weird if it wasn't.
there is a movement in my home country towards heterodoxy. They're seeking to eliminate all of the diversity
Oh,
and
in
all of
America.
the foreigners, yeah, which is
Oh.
a kind of neo-Nazi movement, if you ask me.
So, three subjects I don't talk about.
Yeah, good. Me neither.
Politics, religion, medication.
That's good.
Oh,
That's good. And
medication is the
medication.
third. That's such a
Medication,
surprise.
it's like, oh no, I don't talk about it.
Why don't you talk about medication?
Because it's like one of the subjects, like
Yeah.
politics and religion.
People get really
And
Would let her answer.
so I don't know. I prefer not to talk about it because I don't have. So I think there is way too much medication
yeah.
given to people, but at the same time, I do like medication when I need it. So it's kind of yeah. So I try not to take it, but when I need it, I like to have it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Kind of
and-
like politics.
exactly. So it's. I don't know. I don't know how. I prefer not to talk about it because
Okay.
it's one of the subjects that people they have very strong opinions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
true.
And yeah, so I already work with subjects where people have strong opinions. So
Yeah.
if I can avoid others,
But I have very strong feelings about Harmony's ADHD, and I feel like we're going to get a little exercise today if we keep talking about it.
It is interesting though when when they do also identify as neurodiverse or have a diagnosis of sorts or maybe don't have a diagnosis but are experiencing symptoms. It can be a little bit challenging. Either you get very attached to your label or you're feeling like maybe you need a label or you need to understand more what's going on within yourself.
I think it depends. Much like most things in life.
Yeah.
So it depends at first thing the age of diagnosis because you have a very cute dog.
Oh, thank you so much. He makes me feel very normal. Safe.
I do have the feeling that dogs also they have a very diverse way of functioning. So my dog, he looks so he when I look at him walking around, it's like ADHD, but so much.
Yes,
And
it is
some
exactly.
and yeah, and autistic cats, like
Yeah.
ADHD dog, autistic cat.
Yeah, yeah,
We definitely have one autistic dog for sure.
Okay, so going back, so I don't know where we were, and
How do we like?
yeah, so
do we
getting-
do we need a label or how do we deal with it if you get one?
I don't know. So I don't have an official diagnosis, and nobody at my place has because we don't want an official label.
Right.
So I'm aware that you need an official label in order to get help from the state, depending in the country where you are in. But it also gets you an official label that will be in a database somewhere.
Yeah.
And going back to politics, now we know that it can actually be used against us
Yeah.
Yeah.
one day.
Yeah.
And so I prefer no diagnosis, no official labeling, and no help either. So it's fine.
Yeah.
Then getting attached. I think it depends. So, for example, autistic women, it's not so easy to detect because it hasn't been studied for a long time. And it's like a recent discovery that there are so many. And the thing is that you don't feel legitimate. I don't know how to say this in English.
Legitimate.
Legitimate. Yeah, thank you. Because you just found out, and perhaps it's not official, but you have all the symptoms, like,
Yeah.
and so it might take a hard time to understand. Okay, I'm really there. This is me, but then you don't feel really legitimate because you have this idea of autism that it's not really how you look like externally. And
I'm so curious. What are some of the symptoms that, like,
autistic women,
yeah.
hyperfixation, for example, it's one of them. Though, so there are many that there are. It's similar to some of them are similar to men, but
Yeah.
autistic women often, so they mask a lot,
Right.
and they are also more social, for example.
Yeah.
But as there is this masking, they tend to reproduce, to copy, to like a chameleon, to do exactly as the people around, kind of a copy in order to integrate. And sometimes it can be a little awkward. And there is also this intensity that can come up with.
Yeah.
And then all the hypersensitivity to different things, different stimuli, and sometimes, for example, being perceived as aggressive, as often there is no filter and things just come out like that.
Right.
But the thing is that we have this idea of autism that it's like Rain Man. I don't know
Yeah.
if
Of
Yeah.
course,
okay.
yeah.
And we are not all like that.
Right.
And some neurodivergent folks can look very neurotypical because of masking. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
That's so.
That's so interesting. Is what you started with is this insistence that we haven't studied it in women long enough to be sure scientifically what we're talking about, but at the same time we have an urgency to know what it is.
No, but now there are a lot of people studying it, mainly women studying it.
Mainly autistic women.
Yeah. And some of them, they also have giftedness. They are also very gifted, so it kind of goes fast.
Yeah.
And nowadays we also know. So for a long time we didn't know that. We thought that ADHD and autism couldn't
Coexist.
coexist, but now we know that they do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. That's so fascinating. So, how do you help people? This sounds like a really big problem.
Yeah, that's exactly where we should be going with this conversation.
So how do I help people? So I help them get out of their heads,
Yeah.
basically, and go into their body,
Yeah.
basically to cope with the additional layers of stress that come with being neurodivergent.
Mm.
So there are often
Yeah.
like additional layers of stress,
Yeah.
sometimes additional layers of trauma,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
it can be helped by using somatic techniques and by getting out of the head and going into the body.
Yeah.
You had a technique that you like to use, and I think that I've encountered it before working with traumatized children. It's called TRE. I wonder if you could describe it because it doesn't involve like shaking of the limbs and that sort of thing.
Exactly, it involves tremoring of the limbs. So when we have a stress, so we have a stressful situation, our body gets ready to face distress. So in order to deal with it, it's very fast, is managed by the autonomic nervous system, and it goes really fast, so we don't have to think about it. And basically the body gets ready to fight or to flight, donc either to face an enemy and fight with the enemy, or like to to move away from a predator. So the body releases hormones and other chemicals in order to, but either to beat up someone or to run away. So a very intense movement. And with this, there some of the functions of the body really go up, such as muscle tension and heartbeat increases, and other functions stop because we don't need them in order to face the stress. So everything related with reproduction, digestion, and rest to rest disappears because we don't need it. Once we get out of the situation successfully, as we did this very intense movement of either fighting or running away, so the body has like a release with this movement, releasing all the chemicals, all the tension by doing the movement. So we move on with life. However, if our autonomic nervous system estimates that we risk our lives more by either fighting because we are not strong enough, or if we run because we are slow, it can make us freeze or fawn, or so we just stay there, different reactions, but with no intense movement. And once the danger is over and we come back from this reaction, if we were in nature, the body would tremor to release all the things that were, all the chemicals in the body, also the tension and so on. So basically to replace this intense movement of fighting or fleeing.
Yeah.
But in our society, it's not so well perceived, so we tend to never tremor to prevent it, and because it's not well perceived, it's like a weakness or some kind of health trouble or whatever. So we kind of lost this tremoring reflex. And with TRE, what we do, it's a series of exercises to create muscle tension in order to induce the tremors, and then we tremor, and it can be a lot of fun.
We've,
Are
we've looked at Robert Sapolsky's books, like Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, and looking at the unfortunate consequence of having a brain or having a prefrontal cortex is that you can imagine all kinds of stressful situations and recreate stress in the body through your imagination by fantasy and terror and panic, but then it's not even a physical threat. It's just something that we've imagined for ourselves, and yet we still don't have, we're not using these technologies like TRE to manage the stress that we're putting ourselves through almost constantly.
No, and the thing is that due to the lifestyle we have in the modern world, every time we have a stress, it's not that we can, like, you are working in a
Yeah.
company and your boss comes in, it's not that you can like beat him up or run away, you just
Exactly.
stay there. Yeah, and like being stressed and then not releasing because you cannot tremor either after,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so it accumulates in the body.
I'm curious what these exercises are like that induce the tremoring. Is it like I know you teach yoga as well. Is it like doing yoga type exercises or?
Some are similar to yoga exercises, but we don't really pay attention to alignment, for example.
Right.
If you
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
from a yoga tradition,
Yeah.
that so you just do the exercise. The idea it's just to create tension in the muscle. So the
Okay.
exercises are very, very simple. Just moving.
Like tensing and releasing or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. Like slow squatting, for example. Lifting your hips in the
Yeah.
floor, and then inducing the tremors. So
Right.
it's not it's not very intense as an exercise. It
Yeah.
can be adapted to different kind of people.
Right.
So I had a client, very young, and she was in a lot of pain. She had polyarthritis,
Okay. Yeah.
and for example, she couldn't do the exercises.
Right.
So in these situations, we just adapt,
Yeah.
and she was able to tremor, and
I
Wow.
find it so interesting, this tremoring, because I also facilitate spinal energetics, which often a lot
Excuse me.
a lot of people often a lot of people when they really drop into their body and are feeling the energy, what happens is this tremoring, like this trauma release response.
yeah, so it's fine. So
Yeah.
it can appear in different situations. It can also show up, for example, in with your technique,
Yeah.
but also breath work. You
Yeah.
can also have tremors, and even with somatic experiencing, for example. So there is Peter Levine that actually talks about tremoring. Even
Yeah.
if TRE was developed by David Berceli, there is Peter Levine that explains the tremoring as well.
Yeah.
And then he has his own technique called somatic experiencing. And in a somatic experiencing session, by just focusing your attention in the different sensations in the body, you can also have this tremoring response.
Yeah, it's so fascinating.
And yeah, so it can show up also in yoga, even exercising. So you can have tremoring, and
Yeah.
then you can just do it.
Yeah.
I also have another client. She arrived to me because she started to have this tremoring response very often, and she was like, "Oh my God!" And like, I have some kind of strange problem, you know.
Yeah.
And she looked for it, and someone told her that, oh, it could be like you. So she came to me because someone told her that she could talk with me
Yeah.
in order to perhaps explain this tremoring response she was having. And she was like, yeah, and then this happens, and it's so strange, and it lasts for a long time.
Yeah.
And I asked her, so, but how does it feel after when it ends? What happens with you? And she was like, actually, I feel very calm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just okay. When it happens, just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
But people are really scared when this happens because it's so not well perceived that
Yeah.
they always think that it's some kind of problem.
Yeah.
The first time I saw this, it was my dog.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, so my dog, he's a very tiny dog. And we went to the vet for vaccination, and he was terrified. He's like
Yeah.
like a wild animal. And he couldn't get, so the vet couldn't actually give him his vaccination, and it was a bit of a disaster. So when we arrived at home, he froze. So he just fell on the floor, like not
Oh,
moving, like this,
yeah.
freeze response. But I
Yeah.
didn't know
But
then.
much longer afterwards.
Yeah.
And then he started like shaking,
Like shaking.
and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, the dog is going to die! What
Yeah, it's
do I do?"
terrifying. Yeah.
And then he was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I started to learn TRE, then I was like, "Oh my God, the dog!" That time, it was
Yeah.
like freeze response and tremoring response.
Yeah. Wow.
It's a really powerful way, I feel, to like reset your nervous system and to integrate a lot of, I mean, without having to go through a story, like with therapy where you're retelling the story, which
Can
I
be
think,
re-traumatizing
yeah, it can be
itself.
re-traumatizing.
Because
can
you
just,
stay in this neocortex thing,
yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah,
because it's you stay in the cognitive side of things. And with TRE and somatic experiencing and other techniques, actually you work with different parts of the brain. So where sensations and emotions are stocked, and so the deeper parts.
yeah.
Um,
Like the limbic system, like
exactly, yes. So
Yeah.
I was thinking about the limbic system and also
Amygdala.
and the reptilian brain, that it's not
yeah,
reptilian brain,
like the
but
brainstem.
brainstem. Thank you. So sometimes I get lost in translation, so
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
have
able
many
to
languages
retain
in
the
your head.
names anymore in any language.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So you go deeper than just like the story and the
exactly. So
thinking and the
the thing
processing.
is, in traditional therapy, you stay in the outer part of the brain,
Yeah.
neocortex, and with TRE, somatic experiencing,
Yeah.
brain spotting, you go to the inner parts of the brain, so limbic system and brainstem.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so, and what I
And
find
it allows,
interesting.
sorry,
Yeah.
just to say, it allows you not to talk about your problem.
Yeah.
So this is something that you can do with somatic therapy, is that people can
Yeah.
come to you like with a real problem, but they don't want to talk about it
Yeah.
necessarily because
Yeah.
sometimes it's really, and they don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah. Incredible. I'm curious, like, because I think a lot of people think yoga does the same thing. Like you can just practice yoga and not have to talk about anything in the past and it resets the nervous system. But in my experience, it's quite different. Like this shaking or this tremoring or this somatic processing feels quite different than yoga to me. And as you're a yoga teacher, I'm curious what your experience is with it.
So I started yoga because I was a very stressed person, and it really helped me to calm down. But with TRE, I found inner peace. So with yoga, I found calm. With TRE, I found inner peace. The difference for me resides in the fact that yoga is something that you decide to do.
Yeah.
So it's your mind that decides that your body will move in that particular way. And it's great. I love yoga. It's a great practice. So if you can do it, do it. But this tremoring response, it's involuntary. Involuntary, can we say
Yeah.
this in English? Yeah.
Involuntary, yeah.
So it's an involuntary shaking of the body or tremoring of the body. So it's the body that it's doing that in order to heal from the inside.
Yeah.
So it's not your mind that is telling your body, let's do this.
Yeah.
No, it's the body saying, okay, so I'm doing this now on my own.
Yeah.
And the body does what it needs to be done to repair from the inside.
I see. And that's going to be different from something like shaking of the limbs, because tremoring is an involuntary response, which is where
Yeah,
shaking is still an intentional practice.
exactly. So the thing with TRE is that it's involuntary. So this tremoring, it's involuntary. And of course, you can put some intention in there and do exercises in order to tremor the lower body or the upper body or your mouth, for example. But it's something that it's induced and then you don't have to do anything anymore because the body does it. The shaking can be used in order to induce this tremoring response as well.
I would think that when you do an intentional practice like yoga or intentional shaking, that there would also be a neurochemical difference between that and tremoring. So, for example, you might do a yoga practice and feel and get a dopamine response for the success, whereas when you're having this kind of deep physical, involuntary tremoring, you might have a serotonin response as the body deeply relaxes.
I have to say that that is something that I never really di- dove.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Dove
haven't.
into.
Yeah, I never
Yeah, it'd
really
be
dove
interesting.
into, but yeah, it can happen. So it can happen because as it regulates the autonomic nervous system, it will affect the hormonal system as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And therefore it balances
it,
the hormonal response, I would say. Yeah.
so at the least that there's an oxytocin response to the in the body.
So basically, these feel good hormones
Yeah,
are released when you feel good, and
Yeah.
tremoring helps you feel good. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't know exactly which ones are being released when this
Yeah.
happens.
okay.
And it could be like also just a different, it could be all of them, but
Yeah,
like
yeah,
in
yeah.
different
Yeah, exactly. So
compositions.
A cocktail, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've also had the spontaneous tremoring, and that was also my experience, is that the asana practice or the yoga practice is really you consciously using your body in a certain way to create a certain result or effect. And it has like a meditative component. It makes you feel good and relieves stress, and there is some integration that's happening. But this spontaneous or involuntary shaking at that deep nervous system level, for me, felt like something totally different.
what did you notice in your body after? So that's
Yeah,
the question.
yeah. It was like I was in a different plane of reality. It was like a complete shift, a complete paradigm shift. It wasn't like I lied down in shavasana and got up and went into my life. It was like a complete, like, expansive, different way of being. And I think since I started practicing more and having, or like going into that place where I'm allowing my body to have that spontaneous release, it's shifted like a lot of things internally in my nervous system at a very deep level that is different than what yoga did. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. It's just so different. It's just like a very
It's
different feeling
Well,
in the
as she
body.
described, a sense of peace versus a sense
Yeah.
of calm.
Yeah.
yeah.
Or like, yeah, just like, I don't know. It just felt very expansive, like just seeing the world in a different way.
No, for me, it has totally changed my life. It was really amazing, and it was basically what made me start to work with trauma and then with neurodiversity.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
curious, you have this book, and I love the title. I think it's so funny. It's not your period.
because somehow you might have heard sometime in your life that maybe you have your period, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And sometimes it's not. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's something else.
I may have said that to you this month, actually. I think I did.
I'm curious.
Periods for you.
Yeah, like what are some of the, I feel like I live in a community or a little bubble where everyone's very, trying to organize their lives these days by their hormonal cycle,
Yeah. That's a fun little subculture.
It is.
No, I tried to do that, but then premenopause, so it's not so easy.
No, exactly. But What are some of the symptoms that people might misinterpret as like perimenopause, or not perimenopausal, but I guess also you could misinterpret them as that as well, but premenstrual, and then, but are maybe signs of something happening at a neurological level rather than a hormonal level?
So I don't know if this happens to you before having your period, but when you get really mad and really angry
Yes.
for no reason.
Yes.
So this can happen, but not really related to period, just because you were exposed to too much noise for too long, and then you just get, oh my god, ah! And,
Yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
and the thing is that often when you don't know that you are neurodivergent, you are not always aware of this hypersensitivity
Yeah.
that you might have to stimuli, like noise or light or I don't know, temperature or smell, and it can really make you angry.
Yeah. Between the two of us, you could say that I'm on one end of that scale and Harmony is on the other, and I would even go so far as to describe myself as a very sensitive person, or a highly sensitive person. HSP is what they're calling it. And it was interesting to me because I kind of realized about myself in correlation with realizing that my father should be diagnosed as Asperger's or low autism, maybe even mid autism. He is a mechanic, and he expresses love through machines, and so he'll send me a text and he never would talk to me. I think it was too much for him to talk to me. And then he would start sending, once he had a phone and we could send pictures to one another, it transformed our relationship, because then he could text me pictures of machines. And I'll be on my phone once or twice a week, and my dad will send me a picture of a machine, and I know what he's saying is, I love you. And I was like, oh, I love you too, Dad. Thank you for that machine. And I started realizing that if my father is deeply autistic, and my mother is full ADHD herself, there might be a little piece there for me.
A little projection happening.
A little projection. Well, I'm going to say we might be an ADHD autism couple, is what I'm trying to get to. Perfectly paired, mind you. And I get really upset at noise and light and, like people chewing, that kind of thing. Like, just stop eating, please. I just want people to stop eating around me,
People eating apples.
Oh, chewing cereal. It's like, please leave me alone with your food,
He needs to tremor more, I think, right?
Yeah, he could. No, but it works really good in autistic people. I had great results tremoring with it. Really, really. In my book, I talk about one of my clients. She was like, oh my God. And but I had some great results, especially with like being stuck with this kind of, I cannot stand this, so I'm avoiding it. And and then it increases stress a lot, and then it can...
I just hide away and get away from all human beings, and that seems to help tremendously.
You need to come into my office and I'll help you.
No, that's with people. I want to get away from them.
No, but so this is what we have done, me and my husband. So we moved to the woods, avoiding people, no social life. So we are actually able to look normal. Let me use the word normal.
Oh,
There's nothing worse than the word normal.
That, Harmony. We want to look normal. That's an aspiration for us.
And and we can actually have like a life and behave with people and have our social moments, because we just removed ourselves from all this stimuli with people.
And did you find that you were more comfortable with an autistic husband, or does he have a neurodiversity that complements you?
Yeah, he's autistic.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So,
And I have autistic traits, but also ADHD.
yeah.
And so he's always making fun of me.
Oh, so you understand this
So this,
dynamic
Yeah.
no,
well.
this is one of the things that made me realize that I could be more neurodivergent than I thought,
Yeah.
because he was always complaining that I don't finish my sentences. And one day I was like, I just looked into it, and then yeah, it sounds like ADHD.
Yeah.
ADHD people, they tend not to finish their sentences.
So I'm
But
in the
it's
bathroom.
getting worse with age.
Oh
So
no.
Yeah, I
so
know.
it's like, and now all the family like makes jokes about it, and I talk about it in my book.
Yeah.
And so I had an audio. I did an audio version of it, of the beginning, first three chapters maybe,
Yeah.
and I was listening to it in the car.
Yeah.
And my daughter's like, yeah, you say it at least twice in your book that you don't finish the sentences. Because for me, it's like, oh my God, it's like, oh my God, maybe I didn't finish. And this happens when I'm with clients, like, oh my God, did I finish the sentence? You know, like, but then my clients are like me. So it's
So they
okay.
don't- they're
We
fine.
understand that we understand each other. But now I ask the ADHD ones, like, do you finish your sentence? And sometimes, well, of course not. You know, like,
Yeah. Right.
Once you get the main point out, there's no, just keep
we
going.
understand each other by not talking.
Jediah,
Sorry.
Harmony's son and I, we both kind of like, we're just like, we'll sit there and Harmony has started a sentence, and then we're just like waiting for her to finish. And we're like, what do you want? She's like, and then I'll like, wait, I'll count to 60.
And
It's
you
like, did
call
you-
people, and then
Did you want something, sweetie? It's like, It's like, yeah, yeah, finish it.
I think it does get worse with age.
it does, it does. It does, it does. And yeah, yesterday I talked with a person, and she told me, so before she was just like doing something and then moving to something else and forgetting the thing she was doing before.
Yeah.
But then when she got back, she remembered
Yeah.
she was doing that. And she told me that now, not anymore. So she's doing something and she goes somewhere else to do something else. And then when she arrives there, she's like, she doesn't know why she went there. So it's not that she forgot, it's that she does not know anymore. And this is with age. And she told me, like, with age, she's really,
Noticing.
yeah, like, it's kind of
Just
getting,
find yourself.
but really worse.
Yeah.
But the thing is that sometimes it can be dangerous.
Yeah, especially if you leave like the stove on or water boiling.
Exactly.
I've done this.
Yeah, exactly. So did I, like,
She gets so bored cooking, she can't focus on the cooking. So she's watching some period drama from the 18th century, and is like, you gotta immerse yourself in the work.
The more I start the food and then I go and then I'm like writing an email and then like 15 minutes goes by and something's burning. And
Yeah,
I'm like, oh no.
No, this is the heart of Zen practice, is embodying yourself in the flow of the experience, and then you won't get bored.
It's not boredom. It's
How
just
do you not-
managing
no,
many
you're
things at
so-
the same
No,
time.
you're so bored. How do you not get bored?
by doing too much stuff, I get bored very, very fast and easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And cooking is one of my things. So what I do when I'm cooking is that either I watch some series or
Yeah.
I listen to books.
Yeah.
Yeah, books, for example. Books is a great example.
Me too.
So
Yeah.
I stopped
Thanks.
reading like regular books. I listen to them. Why? Because I can actually make it move faster.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
know.
So and I remember once I was telling this to a friend. Uh, they told me, but how can you do that? It does not make any sense. Like you are comfortably sitting, like listening to a book, and then you increase the speeds. It makes no sense. It's like, and I was like, but why would you think that I would be sitting comfortably listening to a book? I'm never comfortably sitting, like I'm
Yeah.
walking
Wow.
or driving or cooking, but
Sitting and listening? No.
no way. Like, how?
It's impossible.
That's so
And
funny.
then he told me that I could be maniac or something. And I
Oh
was,
yeah,
Manic.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, you
manic.
could be a maniac.
That's
Yeah.
that's the thing is there's always
Like,
like these
come
funny
on, Laura.
labels. Yeah.
Yeah, like, why are you like diagnosing me? Like, why?
Yeah, we live in a culture that really loves to diagnose
Yeah.
things and put labels on them, don't
Well,
we?
since then we
Absolutely.
are not so friendly anymore, I have to say, because I
Yeah.
was kind of mad. Like,
Yeah.
why?
Like, yeah.
Like, when I told her, like, I might be neurodivergent. I didn't know that much at that time,
Yeah.
but yeah.
It was a sign.
Recently, I discovered another kind of neurodiverse part of my personality that was really kind of exciting. I'm not sure if it's not, I think, very popular, but it's a kind of epilepsy, and
Oh,
it's neurochemical. That there's a hormone that keeps you from going into epilepsy. And epileptics lack this hormone, and they often go into it because that they lack that. Maybe it's an expressed
Probably a
gene.
neurotransmitter
Yeah,
of some sort.
neurotransmitter. Yeah, and neurotransmitter. Yeah, not a hormone. And I discovered that there's also a neurotransmitter or a condition where certain substances that you ingest will stop the neurotransmitter from working. So it's like you're an epileptic, but only when you take a particular substance. And one of them, for example, is alcohol.
mm-hmm.
And I've discovered that when I take alcohol, I will go into an epileptic fit.
Oh,
But it's so
But not
bananas.
intensely. You're not shaking.
Not intensely, no. But
You're not
it
shaking.
feels like you're sliding down a rabbit hole with no consciousness, which is not something you want to do while you're driving. Because there's no way I could function when I go when it finally I feel it like sliding is like, oh my God, here it comes. And then I'm
mm-hmm.
just like the last time I drank in Amsterdam, it happened at the dinner table. Yeah, I told you, remember? And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Yeah, but I think
And then I
describing it as
slid.
epilepsy is
What happened
a
exactly?
misguided
It's a total
description.
lack of ability to control my form, and there's an absence of thought for a moment.
I think it's samadhi.
But it's as I've just as I've read the description, it's a
Isn't it
mild
like a
epilepsy.
I don't think
Isn't
It
it
so.
a
is.
kind of like freeze response, like where you are kind of having a vagal
It
response?
is.
Yeah.
It's a vagal response.
Yeah, it could very
Yeah.
well be like that.
And
And it
then you
does,
tremor after?
you
You
do
have like a,
tremor a little bit, and it feels extraordinary. Like suddenly I'm also like sober. I was
I
like,
think
oh,
it's
I
your
was
nervous
drunk.
system.
Yeah, it's a kind of interesting response.
But it's not an uncontrolled tremoring.
No, I'm not like shaking or biting my tongue or anything like that. I'm just like
mm-hmm.
in completely inoperable for a moment.
Okay, so it could be some kind of vagal response
Hmm.
that you are having related to some kind of trauma?
Yeah, or just ingesting a I mean,
Ingesting a toxin.
alcohol's a neurotoxin,
Yeah.
so you're like taking a
And
neurotoxin
I think
that's
it's
maybe
turned
affecting your nervous system.
it's turned something off. Yeah.
But I don't know. What have you done about it? Did you go to a doctor or
No, I would never do that.
why?
There's-
it's not really impairing his
it's not
functioning.
no, it
Okay.
only occurs
It only occurs if he drinks too much.
or
Okay.
just like
So,
but
Just
sometimes
stop drinking.
it's sometimes
Exactly.
you know how people will get like they'll start to spin and you get the spins when you drink.
Yeah.
Mine just continues and goes right down the drain.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not like spinning and then I need to go throw up. It's like I spin and then I shoot out the other side.
That sounds bad.
And it's like
Sounds like you're having explosive diarrhea.
but if the mind, explosive diarrhea of the mind. Yeah.
I'd like to hear more about what your clients have experienced because I was listening to a talk that you were giving, and you talked about how you had one client who did this tremoring and reset their nervous system and then like stopped craving sugar. And so I'd love to hear some of these.
I don't know. I don't know what happened there. It was totally unexpected.
Yeah.
So the thing with TRE, and not only TRE, but so I basically for the moment I use three different things: TRE, somatic experiencing that I use all the time,
Yeah.
along with TRE, and also brain spotting.
Okay.
And sometimes the results are just you are just not expecting it to happen. It's just it happened like this. So I had that with it was with Tina.
Yeah.
And Tina did a tremoring session, and after she was like, "You know what happened? It's like I don't have sugar cravings anymore.
Yeah. It's
It
amazing.
disappeared. It disappeared." So she had a stress. She was eating
Yeah.
sugar to cope with stress, and then she stopped eating sugar and having sugar cravings.
That's
That
amazing.
one was and I had another one. So she was terrified of driving with snow, and suddenly she drives with snow.
Yeah. It's so fascinating to me because I've noticed that even with the spinal energetics too and this tremoring that like basically there's no craving for things that aren't good for you anymore. Like highly reduces these sort of coping mechanisms that we've put in place to try to calm ourselves or create a certain somatic response in our bodies because we've released the stress or the tension. of
Exactly,
the trauma
that
we've been
makes us And your spinal. Can you
Yeah,
talk a
spinal
little?
energetics. I
Spinal-
also I want to hear more about your
Let me
somatic.
write it.
It's
Sorry.
a type of somatic processing as well. It's sort of like based on network chiropractic, but you go into sort of a deep meditative state and then you're feeling your energy and there's gentle touches along the body. So it's like you're dropping into your body, into your somatic experience. And the body will spontaneously also start to move or shake or do different sort of trauma release things often.
Okay.
Not all the time, but often.
I
Okay.
would say it's a complementary therapy to what you've described with TRE.
Yes,
I would
sounds
think they
very
would go
similar.
well together.
Yeah.
I'm checking it out.
yeah.
When we finish, I'm totally.
Yeah, check
I
it
already
out.
wrote it, and then I'm checking it out. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Spinal
really curious.
Energetics.
Yeah.
It's I would say it's Harmony's passion. at the
Yeah,
moment.
it's amazing. But also I want to hear more about how do you work with people with this somatic processing and this brain spotting? What are those therapies
so
or techniques?
somatic experiencing uses different things, but basically we work with the different sensations of the body and emotions, and what we do, it's like to complete stress, uncompleted stress responses. So again, this tremoring response, this is a way of doing, but what we do with somatic experiencing is to complete a stress response, but that the body will, so instead of inducing some kind of a response,
Yeah.
the body will do whatever it needs to be done.
Yeah.
So sometimes there is tremoring.
Right.
So I like to use them together. So I actually like to start with TRE, and then somatic experiencing increases TRE effects, and TRE can also increase somatic experiencing. But basically, it's just the completion of a stress response that was not complete. And
So
once,
would
yeah,
it be like if like having like if I was your client, how would you work with me? Would you get me to like tap into a stressful moment in my past and then
yeah, and for
presence
example,
that in my body?
not necessarily. So I would ask you how you are arriving here today. How do you, how what you're noticing in your body, and then we would move like from one sensation that is pleasant, that it's called a resource,
Yeah, yeah.
where you can go back
Yeah.
whenever you need
Yeah.
a resource, and then perhaps move to something that might be troubling you and noticing the sensation, and then we shift from one to the other.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah, I
this
know
is,
this. I'm familiar with this. Yeah.
yeah, so this is one way of doing it, but then you can do different things
Yeah.
in order to I don't know, missing words here.
Like
So, but
presence the sensation in the
exactly,
body.
so it's very into noticing the sensations, but you can also use touch uh, with it, and also work with the eyes, for example, and with breathing as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
And what about the brain spotting?
so the brain spotting on the outside might look a little like EMDR,
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
but like TRE and somatic experiencing, it works with the inner parts of the brain, the limbic system and the oh my god, brainstem.
Yeah.
And so basically, it's you look at a point, something. I can show you.
Yeah.
So there is a pointer.
Yeah.
So this is the pointer, and these are the things that I put in the pointer in order to
Okay.
to have more contrast.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then you process. So while you look at this point, there are so it's so the eyes are connected to brain spots,
Yeah.
and by looking at something, you process in order to but you process trauma basically.
wow. That's amazing. I was going to
Interesting.
bring up
I'm not very
EMDR.
eloquent, so sorry. It's
Oh no, 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 it's fine. I was going to bring up EMDR because my mother had, she feels, we may feel differently, but she feels that she had great success with EMDR in processing a trauma that had happened to her. And so what you described is like, oh, I could see how that would complement EMDR. Yeah, because you're focusing on a single point like that with the
and
eyes.
it's slower. It's kind of slower, and uh, it's based in the relation between the client and the therapist,
Yeah.
more like somatic experiencing as well. So it's a lot is done by being present there for the person that it's in front of you, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
There's
can
some
have trust.
co-regulation.
and also, yeah, and also noticing. So there are always some kind of body response from the client, and that you can use in order to guide whatever practice
Yeah.
that you're doing. It's either somatic experiencing, brain spotting, or TRE. And it's with somatic experiencing that I really learned to read the different signs of the body. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I love
fantastic.
this conversation. I love hearing about all these different techniques to help not just process trauma, but like literally kind of, I guess, rewire your brain and your
Yeah,
nervous
yeah,
system to
rewire
a
Yeah.
it.
certain extent.
Yeah.
And the thing is that you can also, for example, work with one side of the brain and the other side of the brain. So brain spotting, for example, allows you for you to like work with just one eye and working on one side of the brain.
Right.
And it's very interesting with neurodiversity
Yeah.
because sometimes there are kind of unbalanced
Yeah.
side, and you can use it to balance.
Yeah. There's one interesting NLP exercise that I've used periodically where it's like taking the eyes in a figure eight to like shift your, like if you're experiencing stress or anxiety and then you make a figure eight with your eyes, with the eyes kind of going up and down following that. And then you do that for, I don't know, 30 seconds or something like that. And then you just like feel into your body. And it really does shift things because it helps to rebalance the brain. There's some other interesting ones too, like even just tossing a ball back and forth between the hands to bring, you know, either the right side or the left side of the brain kind of back online.
Wow.
It really, it's used also for reducing cravings or reducing, you know, feelings of anxiety or different stressful emotions coming up. And so it's interesting you bring that up about sort of the one side not functioning at the same pace or rate as the other side.
And working with the eyes can have really impressive results. Very, very impressive.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So you would describe your you have a method that you use all of these practices. It's the encore method. And there's a way. Do you work online as well as in person? Is there a way for people to get in contact with you?
Yeah, I do work online. Now I got back to it. So I worked online before COVID, and then with COVID, well, I worked online too, of course. But after COVID, there was this need for like real human connection, not using a screen. And so for some years, I've been working just in studio, in my studio, but recently I decided to go back to work online because both TRE, somatic experiencing, and brain spotting can be used online easily, and sometimes it's even better to do it online. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I got back to it. I decided it's a decision that I took in October. Like I'm moving back online.
Yeah.
So now I work online, also in studio, of course, but much more online. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And what's a good way to get in contact with you?
So you can. I have a website, but the easiest is through social media, either LinkedIn or Instagram with my name. Also Facebook with my name. It's
Devillé.
Raquel Devillé. Yeah. So, yeah. Or you can also schedule a call. So, but that in my website. But my website is in French, so I know it can be like automatically translated, but it's en français.
Yes. En français.
Yeah.
En français.
For all of our Quebec listeners and France listeners.
Yeah. They're called the French.
The French.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on our show today and for having this wonderful conversation. It was so fun to get to know you and hear all about how you're working with people.
And we're all neurodiverse.
Yeah, and to feel normal.
Normal
Yeah,
is
but
to embrace your superpower.
Exactly. It's not even to feel normal. It's feel that you are not alone. So I think that's the thing. You know, you are not alone. There are more people like you.
Yeah, and I think too.
So many.
Yeah, erase that idea of like what's normal is a great starting point, right?
Exactly.
As someone said, I don't know who said this, but normal's a setting on your washing machine, right?
Normal, it's like divergent. These are like statistical terms,
Yeah.
and that we apply to human beings. So it's,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
Everything's a spectrum.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun talking with you too.
Good.
It was wonderful.
That was just so amazing. What a fun conversation. I learned so much, and I hope you did too. If you would love to go deeper and take your practice off your yoga mat and into your life, into the world, starting to learn more about pranayama, developing a regular practice, chanting, tuning into the vibrations and the Sanskrit mantras, as well as looking at some of the more esoteric philosophical concepts, come on in to my Inner Circle mentorship. This is a private community that's online. I offer weekly Mysore classes in addition to these monthly workshops and special programs. And you can find out all the information when you join the Finding Harmony community. Head on over to community-harmonyslater.com. Join the community and come on into my Inner Circle mentorship. I would love for you to be a part of this beautiful space and start growing into the full richness of this yoga practice together with me. That's it. We've concluded another episode of the Finding Harmony podcast. I just want to thank you so much for doing the work that changes the world, starting with yourself. It truly does make a huge difference. Please make sure you have your automatic downloads turned on wherever you listen so you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes. I have so much more magic I can't wait to share with you. Lastly, if you're on Instagram, I love connecting and hearing from you. So come on over and say hello at Finding Harmony Podcast. And you can also come say hello to me personally at Harmony Slater Official. Thank you again for being here. I cannot wait to share more with you in our next episode.